Hey everybody, Dr. T here. Today we are going to be discussing Tanisha Davis and her story of survival. Tanisha Davis met her abuser, Montreal Wright, when she was 19 years old, and he was nearly 30. Although Tanisha did not know it at the time, Wright had abused other women in the past and was on probation for another domestic violence case when they had met. By the time Tanisha learned this information, Wright had started to abuse her. During the course of their nearly 8-year relationship, Wright became increasingly violent, controlling, and manipulative. He attacked her for any reason at all, because she wanted to put up her own Christmas tree in her house, because she left her high heel shoes at a party, or because she did not want to drive with the window down in the cold Rochester winter. When Tanisha tried to break up with him, Wright stalked her, breaking the windows of her house, forcing his way in, and terrifying her young son. On one occasion, while driving with Tanisha and her son in the car, Wright swerved into oncoming traffic because she refused to tell him she loved him. Wright sexually assaulted Tanisha and choked her in her sleep. She now has a scar on her hand, a chipped tooth, and a bad knee as a result of his attacks. Though Tanisha called the police often, it was to no avail. Eventually, they began to remove Wright from Tanisha's house, only to drop him off around the corner. On the night of the incident that led to Wright's death, Tanisha had 2 orders of protection against him. Following a disagreement, he began beating and choking her. In a voicemail that captured Wright's attack in the minutes preceding Tanisha's act of self-defense, he is recorded yelling, "Is this what you want?" while hitting her as she cried for help. Tanisha went to trial and testified about her act of self-defense. She was convicted after a trial ridden with errors and injustices. For example, the jury wasn't properly instructed on how, under New York law, the imminent threat to Tanisha's life justified her acting in self-defense. The prosecutor called Tanisha a black woman, a hood diva, and made racist remarks about the culture she is from, and no one objected or stopped him. Virtually no evidence was introduced regarding the abuse Tanisha suffered. Tanisha has said that living with her abuser was like being in prison, and the trauma of her abuse continues to affect her. Tanisha suffers from PTSD and has nightmares that Wright is beating her. Sometimes feels he is still in control. This trauma and control are now compounded by prison. In 2013, Tanisha was sentenced to 14 years in prison for first-degree manslaughter in the 2012 stabbing death of her boyfriend, Montreal M. Wright. Davis maintained she acted in self-defense after enduring years of severe physical and emotional abuse. She served approximately 8 years of her sentence at the Bedford Hills Correctional Facility. In early 2021, her case was reviewed under the Domestic Violence Survivors Justice Act, DVSJA, a 2019 law allowing courts to consider domestic violence as a mitigating factor in sentencing. With support from her pro bono legal team and the district attorney's office, her sentence was reduced to time served, leading to her release on March 9, 2021. Davis's story is featured in the documentary film And So I Stayed, which examines how the justice system treats survivors of domestic violence. The film and related advocacy efforts helped to bring attention to her case and others like it, ultimately aiding in her successful resentencing application. Since her release, she has become an advocate for other criminalized survivors and works to rebuild her life with her family. If you or someone you know is in an abusive situation, call the National Helpline at 1-800-799-SAFE or text START to 88788. Everyone deserves a healthy relationship.